Welcome to the Lazy Grace episode of Heighten Your Sixth Sense. I got Mr. Bogdan Rosu here. He's the transformational coach. He's the fastest coach in the world. He helps elite leaders remove invisible limits, 15 minutes or less, unlocking clarity, confidence, and effortless growth. Get ready for some powerful insights. Welcome, Mr. Bogdan, boy from Romania. Happy having you. So, it took a little bit to get you lined up, but I'm happy to have you here. And just welcome to the show and everything going for you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Sean. Things are good. We have a newborn. We're kind of testing the waters of being, I mean, testing the waters. It's like learning the waters of being parents.
Yeah, I
So
got you.
that's
Okay.
kind of the
Congratulations.
number one coaching and self-coaching challenge right now.
Just no sleep time for the next year, 2 years, basically.
Sleep.
A limited sleep. Yeah, I've been there. It's been a while. If I've been through that phase. Mine are older now. I got a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 14-year-old, and 13-year-old. So I've been through that a long time ago. But yeah, it's some tough
Dude,
days and nights when they're doing
dude,
that
you look like
those
a
early years.
third. You look like a 30-year-old who went to the salon just to put some white in his beard. It's like this is incredible. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I guess I'm telling my age when I start talking about my kids, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
usually a dead giveaway.
yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I try my best to take care of the face, but I can't hide the grays, like you said. I'll try to hide it.
Awesome.
Years ago when I first started, I was like, I'm trying to diet and all that, but it was like it's too much work. It is what it is.
No, I think it's a lot more unique, it's a lot more memorable for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, man. So this your first one, your first child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, man. It's gonna be some fun, a lot of fun times, but it's gonna be some challenging ones as well.
So I keep
More fun,
hearing.
more fun than challenge. I just say I put it that way. Take a lot of pictures because they grow so quickly.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I was looking at I was really interested in your community, your seven-figure community. I kind of clicked on it, looking at the website, and I see it's like a members only. So how does that work? Dragon 88. I don't know a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's an invitation only community for elite entrepreneurs. We meet up kind of like once or twice a month, depending on our schedules, and we have guest speakers. Usually, the members come in and speak. The idea behind it was actually I had this idea like a long time ago, but last year being Year of the Dragon and me being born in the dragon, it's like, okay, I feel like it's time to do
Mm,
it. Yeah, and that's kind of the gist of it. It's like we get together to share resources, insights, connections. Like, hey, I need to connect with so and so. Cool. I might not
mm.
nobody know somebody like that, or yeah, actually know this exact person. So yeah.
So basically, you gotta know somebody to get to kind of be vetted to be invited. That type of.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I
That's
mean,
cool. So you
you can
submit.
apply on the
Yeah.
website.
Mhm.
If you go to the website, you can submit like an application and join the waiting list. If it's a match, then we can have a conversation and say, hey, sure, join us.
Okay, cool. That's very
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, but nobody jumps in without having an
Mhm.
interview. I do the interviews myself. So if they're not cool, if they're not like interested in helping out,
Mhm.
then it's sorry, not sorry,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you want somebody that's gonna be not just a taker, somebody that's a giver. Somebody's
yeah,
gonna give to the community, and that's because that's only gonna work as people with like-minded or people are giving things to the table, and and you're still taking stuff too, but the biggest thing is the people is exchange of energy
yeah,
for
exactly.
everybody to grow. Yeah, it makes sense. So, what are some common invisible limits that hold high-level entrepreneurs back, and how can they be removed?
Identity. It's all about identity. It's like everybody thinks they have a marketing, a sales, a delegation, a leadership problem. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about how you see yourself. And it's challenging because, you got to a certain level by having this identity of being a problem solver, and you got so much out of it being a
Mhm.
master problem solver. But the thing is, your next level is not about you being the master problem solver. Your next level is about becoming a master maker, meaning
Okay.
your team, you need to level up your team and inspire mastery in them. You need to masterfully create systems. It's not about you, right? Because if you're the only one solving problems or finding problems or, leading the way, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like really clarifying what the business is to you because it's like if you say my business is my baby, true, but what if your business is already, a 20-year-old that needs
Hmm.
to seek independence and be on, like an actual entity, like a living being,
Yeah,
but you're holding back that 20-year-old by being the over-the-shoulder parent.
got you.
Yeah.
So it's identity. That makes sense. Identity is the, I guess, the glue that kind of like holds it all together. It's kind of like the foundation in a sense.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It is glue. It is glue. It can either stick you to, and it depends like what you stick to with that glue, right? Because it
Hmm.
can be very, very difficult to shake that identity because it's so sticky. But if you attach yourself to a new identity, if you attach yourself to a new vision, to a new
Yeah,
way of seeing yourself and seeing the world, then you're going to be just as connected to that vision as you are to the current circumstance.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard people say that you can't, you know, you can always try to get better, but you still, no matter what, you can't outperform your identity.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
100%. 100%, right? Like we classic example, lottery winners. The money doesn't change their identity, right? Because
Like your
identity
bank
is kind
account.
of like, yeah, for the time being, sometimes they're worse off, right? Like shifting your identity is in a sense kind of like scraping off that glue, right? Every day. It's like, no, this is the person I am. This is who I am. This is who I'm choosing to be. In your brain, we have highways towards that old identity, that old world view. So every
Hmm.
time you're kind of saying to yourself, no, I'm a master maker. No, I attract and hire exceptional people for the business. You're creating new connections in your brain. And it
New
takes that
pathways.
repetition, that visualization, exactly, right? That embodiment, that's very, very important. That's the embodiment of that identity creates a highway towards this new future in your brain. And if we want to get really, really metaphysical, your identity is not in your body. It's not even in the brain, right? The brain acts as a receiver of identity. Because one time it's like you're one way with your friends, but you're a total different way with let's say your coworkers or your loved ones or your kids. You're constantly shifting from one identity to the next,
Yeah, that's true.
right? But
Hmm.
I would take it even further to say that you're being connected. It's like kind of being connected to these, you have these different websites, right? And you have, let's say, five tabs open. You have the tab that's, friends, you have
Hmm.
work, you have, now you need to add that extra tab, but get into the habit of visiting that extra tab of new level, of your new level self, of a future super successful self as often as you can. Maybe every hour, maybe the best tool I've recently stumbled upon was every time you pass through a door, say something empowering about yourself.
I am confident. I'm great. I am, you know,
Yes,
I am
yes,
smart.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And even something kind about yourself, like, hey, you made a
Yeah,
mistake, but you're gonna learn, you're gonna be fine, right? Hey, you learn and you win, right? And it's like every time you're just visiting that extra tab until it becomes the main tab, until it becomes like your home page, you
yeah,
know?
that makes sense. So slow, you slowly rebuilding yourself and slowly making new connections.
In a sense, it's not
Hmm.
even because that identity already exists. That super successful version of you is already out there, right? The URL
Yeah.
to that, the page has been built. It's just a matter of tuning into it and like aligning your circuitry towards, okay, I am instantly that. It's not a matter of like
Hmm.
rebuilding, it's more of choosing who is this person that I want to be because like you have an infinite options to choose from. I want this, this,
Yeah.
this, and that, right?
Yeah. That's right. Because they say you have to become whatever it is you want to be. You have to become it first. You can't like say I'm can't be working. You can't work towards it. You have to already become it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
it's useful to have separate identities. I mean, one of the reasons why um Kobe become like he had a very, very tough time, right, initially. And he worked with this coach who helped him shape the identity of the Black Mamba.
Tim
So
Grover
I think it
was
was
it?
Todd Herman,
Okay.
but correct me if I'm wrong.
I know Tim Grover was one of his coaches that you might have him as well.
Well, like elite athletes have multiple coaches. That's why
Hmm.
they're so
Yeah.
good. And he was the Black Mamba on court, but then outside of court was Kobe. Now, if Mike Tyson had that, because that was kind of like the problem with Mike Tyson, he was just the boxer identity everywhere, and that was like the source of all of his professional downfall, basically, right? But now he has
Hmm.
multiple ones. It's like what I'm saying.
Hmm.
It's wise to choose, to be able to choose between, okay, what tool do I need for this specific situation?
You're right, right. So basically saying different situations, you got to learn to like tune in to a different frequency or a different version of yourself to basically be your best version of yourself in those situations.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So that requires to be more like the observer, because the observer is like you step back and you see all of your toolbox.
Yeah, that's called what like the I heard people say neutrality, being neutral, you know. That way you can it doesn't really affect you either way. You just are. You just exist, but you are able to receive and navigate and be, and be more, I guess, be like, with your martial arts, be like, flow, be with the flow. Be like Bruce
Exactly.
Lee said, be like water. So that way you're able to adapt, to anything.
Exactly. And water is consciousness in a sense, right? That's why
Mhm.
it can destroy, it can nourish, right?
Yeah, because water can, no
Yeah.
matter what it is, it's no matter whether the situation is going to overcome it. It's going to either go through it, around it, so definitely.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Like Bruce Lee said, you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Yes, sure. Water still knows what water is,
Right.
right?
That,
So it's not like, okay, now I'm a bottle. It's like, no, I got the shape of a bottle. I'm good,
yeah,
right? But I
yeah,
know what I am. I am a
right,
consciousness and I'm choosing to be this right
yeah,
now.
yeah. That's true. And that leads back to the identity, knowing who you are and what you are, no matter what situation you're in. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I really love that.
You get to choose, but it's like, I talked to a friend who like exceptional actor, and he told me one day, like, look, dude, I just don't know who I am.
Mm. I guess
Right?
that'll be
Because
tough for actors when they have to constantly change their identity all the time to become, a different character.
exactly, exactly. So that might be something, that your audience might be thinking, right? Okay, if I'm constantly shifting identity, then who am I, right? You are all of that and none of that. The question is, it's like, it's not that you don't know who you are, right? You have a sense of the core of who you are. In the case of like actors who have these identity crises, it's never that they don't know who they are. They do. They have like a core identity, but they hate it. They
Mhm.
run away from it. If they feel like that version of them is not enough, is never gonna be enough. That's not true, right? Can you love that, let's say, more core identity of you just as much as the identity that you're putting out? And that's a huge one for like elite business owners and high performers. They love the let's say the persona. It's very tough for them to get feedback or see their blind spots. But that's
Mhm.
only because when they step out of that persona of, being always the person in control, leading the way, they feel extremely vulnerable.
Yeah.
So can you love both? Because
But that's true. No, no, I was just thinking that really makes a lot of sense what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But I think that goes back to like the self-image as well, and also having like your self-image, your philosophy, your standard. Those I think all those need to be really cemented, really into your core. You know what I'm saying? So you really are, really aware and sure of who you really are at your core. Yeah. That way you don't lose sight of that, lose control of that.
yeah, and what if at
Mhm.
your core you're nothing and that's enough? We're getting very deep.
Yeah. I didn't think about it like that. So how would that work with some for somebody if they felt like they were if they had nothing, like they had really no foundation?
Nothing is extremely freeing because nothing is
Mm,
kind of like water. It's fluid, right? It's like nothing. You can put anything in there. Nothing is, it's like if you feel like you're not enough, but at the core you feel like you're nothing, right? So it's empty,
mm,
that means that you can fill it up with being enough because it's empty. You get to choose what you put in there, right? It's always like you fill it up like with your consciousness, with your observation, right? It's like I choose this. You give it meaning. You know that phrase like everything is meaningless? Nothing
yeah.
has meaning. It's the biggest blessing because if nothing has meaning, it means that you can give everything whatever meaning you like. That's really the difference between high performance, like really the top 1%
Mm,
and a general high performer, right? Something bad happens, they choose the meaning. Oh, this happened for me. This happened to make me stronger, to elevate me. Whereas, what do most people do? This happened. Oh, this always happens.
yeah.
Why am I doing this, and so on and so forth.
They
But
become the victim. Yeah.
100%, 100%. And it's like you can be very masterful at giving meaning in certain areas of your life. It's like, okay, your child does something, you're like, okay, that's fine. I've made these same mistakes. That's totally fine, right? So you're giving it a positive meaning. But something happens at work, you just flip out. Why? Because they're two
Mm,
separate identities. That identity doesn't gives positive meanings. That
mm,
other identity is still stuck in giving negative ones and disempowering ones. But you
mm.
can adjust them.
Yeah. It's all just like a flip of a switch. It's all about your perspective.
Yeah. It's like
Mm,
I work with my clients. I give them strategies as well. Here's some marketing, here's some sales, here's some delegation, here's some
mm,
leadership. Sure. But at the end of the day, it's always like, hey, where are you most confident? What's the area in your life where you feel most confident? Well, marketing, let's say, or hey, raising my kids, or gardening. Great. Let's bring
mm,
that version of you in everything you're doing. That confidence,
mm.
let's pull it across the board.
Yeah, 'cause I think that a lot of people struggle with that, because they, say at the job they're in this space and this frequency, at home. So I guess sometimes you maybe lose sight of the strengths in one space from the other.
Yeah, yeah,
Guess you
yeah.
don't guess you don't know how to like maneuver, keep it fluid across the whole board, everything you are, because you are so many different things. Like you say, people say I wear so many hats in my life.
Yeah, and something beautiful happens when you put all of the hats on your head. It's like, okay, the confidence from this person, this identity, I can use it here, right? The confidence from here. And it's like, it becomes something very, very interesting and fun, right? When you start to play around with these, yeah, life becomes quite fun.
Yeah, but as I'm thinking about it in my mind, I'm like, okay, if you're constantly separating yourself and limiting you should have strengths here, limits here, you're weak here, you're strong here in certain parts of your life. But hey, you say, okay, I am who I am everywhere, no matter what, and so that it actually will give you more power,
100%.
you know, because I heard one guy say, I think it was his name, he was saying that when he walk into a room, he before he walk into a space or a building or meeting or something, he already assumed the power. He walk in with
Hmm.
so much power and confidence. There's no lack, no limits. Not saying an arrogant or ego thing. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm embodying the power. And I
Hmm.
I expect people to respect me and love me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing negative, no negative energy at all. It's just great
Yeah.
positive power energy when you walk into the space.
And that's the paradox, right? Because
Mm,
maybe I've confused the people a bit, but that
mm,
super successful version of you from the future is actually the closest to your real self
yeah.
because all of these different identities that you're playing around with, they all have layers of fear, of programming, of in the situation where you're not getting what you prefer, right? In the situation where the situations that feel heavy instead of light, then they're
Mm,
probably layered, like your true self is layered with all of these negative beliefs. A version of you knows who they are, love themselves, right? It's like very kind, very forgiving, and it's like I'm gonna enter this room being myself. Whoever loves me, and people, and that's again the paradox. Like when you don't care whether people love you, that's when they love you. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, that's true. I know my one of my guy I do mentorship with. He said that your spiritual DNA is powerful. It's perfect. So like it's all knowing. It's all powerful. So there's no lack if you understand that. At all. There's no lack. There's
Exactly.
no limits.
Exactly.
I think that's what people realize. Like the biggest part of us, each person, the physical body, all that. That's great. You might look great. You might feel a certain way, but the biggest part of you, the power, is not even. It's outside of us. It's the higher self.
Yeah. And it's like lately, I've been getting more and more evidence of this, like from every single direction. Everywhere I look, it's always the same thing. Like look inside, look inside. And it's
Mhm.
beautiful to see that science is kind of is catching up to it, right? Like a lot of the things that we consider woo before are now being studied and being proven to be true. Like
Yeah.
have you listened to the telepathy tapes, for example?
No, I haven't.
So this
Check
is
that out.
a podcast with nonverbal autistic kids who
Mhm.
can basically read minds. They can communicate with their parents telepathically. And it looks like most of these kids have this ability because, I was thinking about it. It's like w when you cannot communicate verbally, consciousness finds a way to communicate because it wants to communicate. It wants to socialize. Very, very interesting stuff. And the host of the podcast is doing it together with a scientist, an actual scientist who's studying this phenomenon, who has studied this phenomenon well before the podcast host found out about it. It gets you thinking, like, okay, the stuff that we used to think is like completely nonsense because it's not in accordance to our materialistic view
Mhm.
is being proven to be true and tested, right? Like they would give these kids, guess a number, guess an image, and these kids would see whatever the mother was seeing, and the mother was in another room with like 95 or 100% accuracy, which is like insane. When you
Mhm.
do the stuff, if you get 20%, 30% accuracy, that's like a really high number for the
Yeah.
people training, like remote viewing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like it's all inside.
Yeah. Damn. I'm definitely taking that out. That's really what's next for you and your business and your coaching, the marketing, everything you do. What's next?
I'm a lot more focused on LinkedIn these days. I think it is the place to be. So I've been a lot more active on LinkedIn. The shift that I'm making in my business is I did a lot of like cold outreach and like, hey, here's what I can help you with, take it or leave it, bum bum. Now we're a lot more focused on relationship building through the content, through like DMs here and there, but a lot more community building compared to here's my stuff, buy, don't buy, and like buy or die, right? So that's the next step for us. Yeah.
So really, right now you more so in a growth expansion phase in a sense.
Yeah, kind of like adopting more of a farmer's mindset where you kind of reap and sow later on compared to the
Hmm.
hunter.
Yeah. So you really just you putting it out there, for people to grab hold to it, and then you'll worry about the reaping it later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. More like long-term thinking rather
Mhm.
than, like a young man's thinking of let me do, grab, 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 sell, right?
Mhm.
Which is good in the beginning, but after a certain point, hey, you gotta let go of it and
Mhm.
just let people come to you.
So do you see like books in the future, podcasts, like your own podcast? Or I know you said you already had one, or maybe reinventing it or starting it again or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm in the process of translating my book from Romanian to English, and that's gonna be fun. It has a bit of a pretentious name. It's called Greatness and Mastery: 10 Principles from Martial Arts and Personal Development for a Great
Hmm.
Life. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I did see your book on your page. So what was I going with there? So it's in Romanian now. You converted to English. Will you do
Yeah.
like audio, have an audio version and all of that?
I haven't thought about the audio version. Yeah, I'll probably think about it later once I'm done translating
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I got you. And so far as your the Dragon 88, what do you see? What's the growth projected for that? What do you want for that community?
I don't know. It's just like it's kind of like a Dragon 80 more of a is more like a side project, you know. It's like it can
Yeah,
do its
okay.
own thing. If it
I got you.
grows, I don't want to put too much effort into growing it. If it grows organically, great. If it doesn't, that's totally fine. It's just it's kind of like one of those things where you feel you want to do it and you just do it and then you'll see where it goes.
Gotcha. So it's like you good either way.
Yeah.
You you neutral with it. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. All right. So anything else you would like to share with the audience? Anything in your heart?
Um, we covered a lot of ground today. What would I say? Yeah, I would like to circle back to what you were sharing, like that point of really working on yourself. It's really, really important, and it's still something that I'm in the process of getting a lot more discipline in that sense, as well,
Mm,
you know. So it is the key to performance. Your hands are so limited, but your heart is connected to so much wisdom. And that's basically what you're doing when you're doing the
yeah.
inner work. You're just tapping into the heart.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. You just really connecting more to the to your higher self.
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly. So yeah, maybe listening to your higher self a bit more, right?
Hmm. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
That's really good. So if you had the opportunity to have, at the if you I guess you could time travel or something like that. If you had the opportunity, if you go back to have a conversation with your the younger version of yourself in your early 20s, what would be like some advice you would tell yourself?
exactly that. Like stop doing, just focus a lot more on being. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know
Stop
that
trying
people
so hard. That's
just
what I would say.
let it
Yeah.
be in the flow. All right, it's really good. Well, man, I mean, I really appreciate it. It's been a really great conversation. I feel I've grown from it, and I know you probably have as well. And I feel like the audience will grow from this great episode of Heighten Your Sixth Sense.
100%. Thank you. Thank you for having me.